Hi everyone, this is Hannah Brown, and I recently learned a lot of new information about gifted learners. So I really wanted to share this information with all of you today at our meeting because I think it would be very beneficial for all of us to know this so we can apply it in our own classrooms with our own students. So let's get started. What does it mean to be a gifted learner? So a gifted student are students who learn material faster than their peers at a young age. They'll always remember the material they learned. They're extremely passionate about one or more topics. But one thing that was really important to me was that gifted students, it doesn't always mean that they are gifted academically. They could be gifted socially, they could be gifted emotionally. So as teachers, we really need to look out for that too. Yes, we want them to excel academically and learn all the material that we teach them within the year, but we should also pay attention what their strengths and weaknesses are socially and emotionally. And I think a great way for us to do this is to give them a multiple intelligence assessment. This really tells us what their strengths are academically and socially. So once we give them all this assessment, we could learn more about them. So these are just a few common thoughts of a gifted student that I learned that many of them think while they're at school. So many of them believe that school is really boring and it's too easy. Everyone wants them to be perfect. Not many people understand them and that they're different from all of their other friends. So I feel like this is a good information for us teachers to know what's going on in their head. And here are a few things that we could do to help them. So we could challenge them. Even though it's great that these students are getting great grades in our classes and excelling in everything they do, we could challenge them. We could give them harder material, which will keep them more interested in school and wanting to go to school. They won't think it's boring. Even though we want to challenge them, we don't want to challenge them too hard and pressure them and have all these high expectations, even though it's good to have high expectations. So, another thing gifted students struggle with is the perception of what everyone thinks about them. So, they don't want their parents and their teachers to overdo it and just stress them out a lot. So we want to decrease their stress by praising them often, complimenting them, telling them like that they're doing awesome. This will really help them um, be less stressed out. And this was a big point for me too. Realize that gifted students, they're not good at everything they do. So we're going to get more into detail about this point, but I personally thought that gifted students are going to be great at whatever every subject you like throw at them, but that's not the case. A lot of students aren't. That doesn't mean that they're good at everything they do. They could just be gifted in one specific topic. So now we're going to talk about this term called asynchronous development, and this is what many gifted students experience. So asynchronous development means that their minds are developing at one rate while their bodies and emotions are developing at a different rate. So this term supports the points I was saying earlier. A student can be academically gifted but can struggle socially or emotionally, or the opposite. A student can be great at socializing with others but they struggle academically. So this is the term to explain all of that, asynchronous development. And twice exceptional students are really good to know about because I personally did not know much about these kind of students, but a twice exceptional student is a student who is identified as gifted but is also diagnosed with a disability. So, as teachers, we need to pay attention to their strengths in order to help improve their weakness. We can't really focus too much on the weakness because it's really going to discourage them. It's going to make them feel dumb, unmotivated. So, we could use their strengths to improve their weakness. An example of this is a student has great math skills but has dyslexia. So, a way you could improve his dyslexia is using flashcards, helping him read, and you could tie in math into all of this. Since he's really good at math, help make have math help him with his dyslexia. Another example is a student can be really good at science, but they struggle with writing. A way you could help him is to have him just jot down all of his ideas on a computer, even though it's he's going to struggle with some spelling. He's still technology is still like a great way to get students motivated and interested in school. So it just depends on every student is different, and it's the strategies you need to think of just really depends on like their strengths and weaknesses. So my final words of my advice to give to all of you is just to get to know each of your students and recognize like the little things they do. It'll throughout the year you will really recognize some common things that they do, and it'll tell you a lot about their strengths and their weaknesses, and you could use those to help them exceed throughout the year. And just keep in mind that every student learns differently. You need to try out a bunch of different strategies. You need to learn what works for each student and use those to help them understand what you're teaching. And just always be in constant communication with the parents. You guys need to be a team while working with gifted students and students with disabilities. You need to make sure they are working with their children at home, and really enforcing the things you're teaching them in school at home, so they could just succeed throughout the year. And this concludes my presentation. I hope everyone learned a great amount of information. There are many articles that I could suggest to you with a bunch of different strategies and suggestions. And I hope you learned a lot from me. Thanks.